Hello and welcome everyone. Alexander and Haberman is excited and honored to bring back Dominic DesMarais for today's presentation, Reverse Mortgages. Dominic is with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Dominic was raised on a cattle farm between the Minnesota cities of Buffalo, Monticello, and Maple Lake. Growing up as the youngest of 6 children with parents who lived through the Depression era gave Dominic old values. His father fought in the Pacific Theater of World War II, giving him great respect for veterans. The buying and selling of livestock gave him an entrepreneurial spirit that is a value behind everything he is involved in. The financial side of business has always interested Dominic, which is why he pursued a career in marketing, sales, and finance. Dominic focuses on communication with his clients and business partners. His focus is finding the right mortgage loan for the client's financial life and goals. With this mindset, along with his interest in finance and an appreciation of excellent customer service, Dominic has successfully been in the mortgage industry since 1997. As always, Alexander and Haberman does not practice in the specialties of its speakers, but welcomes them here to speak for the educational benefit of our clients, friends, and guests. Alexander and Haberman is a specialty firm focused on assisting with Medicare Advantage, supplements, and Part D plans, as well as individual and family health insurance on and off exchange, and group benefits including health, dental, and vision. If you have any questions during the presentation, please use the chat feature at the bottom of your screen and send them to the host and panelists. We will respond to them at the end of the presentation. This will also allow anyone who needs to leave promptly at the end to hear the entire presentation. So, to get us started with today's presentation, it is my honor to introduce Dominic DesMarais.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm going to have a lot of fun today. I always have fun when I'm out presenting, talking about how we can help people, how we can change people's lives. And, my first question to everybody is, what's your opinion of reverse mortgages? I'd love to see if you can put it in the chat and just see what your opinion is. That'd be fantastic. To follow up a little bit what I talked about, obviously here at Fairway, we are the largest employee-owned mortgage company in the nation, and we do focus on helping clients. If you look at our reviews, we're the highest reviewed, rated mortgage company in the nation. And I help more people with reverse mortgages than anyone else in Fairway in the state of Minnesota, but I'm also licensed in other states too. But we're going to have a lot of fun today. A lot of times people, I don't know if anyone's typed in there or not, but what people's opinion of reverse mortgages can be. A lot of people say not good, to tell you the truth. They're okay for some people. I think I'll get one when I'm old enough. It's sort of interesting to see what people will respond to and what people are thinking, right? I believe that this is something that could actually change people's lives. And I'm going to tell a few of those stories today. A lot of people say, well, we'll use it eventually. Well, something that you got to be aware of, in 2014-15, the government changed the rules on what's called the FHA product, the reverse mortgage FHA offers, which is the home equity conversion mortgage. And when they changed it, it can no longer be used as the loan of last resort. What that means is it has to actually be planned for, because it became an income-based loan. And people always say, well, I got tomorrow, I can wait to do that, things like that. I'm going to tell a quick story about a client I had last year. A realtor came to see one of my presentations. Typically, I'm out speaking 2 to 3 times a week. And he said, this would be perfect for my parents. They're living in a multi-storied house. They really need to get to one level. They're starting to be challenged with all the maintenance of the home, everything like that. And I said, well, let's get together. So he talked to his mom around Memorial weekend last year. And she said, let's talk to Dad in the fall, and we'll meet with this guy. So we met in October. And the dad came back and said, man, this is great. Why did we not know this before? That we could sell our current home, we could buy almost double the home with a 1-level townhome. This is going to be fantastic, make our lives better. Well, since it's a government loan, you do need to schedule counseling. So they got their counseling scheduled. They were excited about it. Before they could get to their counseling, he fell down the stairs of the home. The ambulance picked him up, took him to the emergency room. He stayed in the hospital a couple weeks, actually, but they allowed him to come back home. He was rehabbing. He was going to do well. We were excited about that. And then, unfortunately, fell down the stairs again. Again, the ambulance took him away, and unfortunately, about 8 weeks later, we had a celebration of life. And there's no reason to believe that had they not acted quicker and gotten to a one-level home, he'd still be alive today. Did you know falling is one of the primary reasons that people 62 or older actually do have medical issues? What thoughts do you have about reverse mortgages? Some of the things I hear constantly is the bank's going to take the house, ownership's given up, they're too expensive to consider as a solution. The heirs will end up with a problem and a big bill. They're risky and dangerous. And I want to talk a little bit about those aspects. First of all, you always own the home. When you die, the adult children or the heirs will own the home. This is just a mortgage that needs to be paid off like any mortgage if you have a mortgage when you die. They're too expensive. Well, they are an expensive loan. There's no question about that, but I'll tell you this much. If you compare what else you can do with the money, and we're going to look at that today, you can actually come out further ahead with more inheritance actually doing this. The heirs will end up with a problem. The heirs can never inherit this debt. This is a government loan, so it's a non-recourse loan, which means the government will pick up any differences, and they're risky and dangerous. Well, it's a government loan. There's really no risk attached to it. So keep in mind that this is something you want to be aware of. There's really no risk. They're an FHA loan, and we'll talk more about that. 2020, we were the number 4 retail, Haberman volume lender, number 2 for purchase. We do a lot of purchase loans, so if you are interested in maybe the wrong home, either financially or physically, you're tired of the home maintenance, you're tired of the stairs, this is a perfect solution. It allows you to get into a home that's one level, never have a mortgage payment as long as it's owner occupied, so it's a great time. There are a ton of people taking this out. 10,000 people a day are hitting 62, so it's a fantastic time to do this. If all baby boomers retired at 62, 84% would be in jeopardy of running out of money. At 66, it's 50%. So keep in mind, this is a way to access the home equity. Because my plan, the question I always like to ask, what's your plan for your home equity? Have you considered what your plan is for your home equity? If not, start thinking about that. What is my plan for my home equity? And you might say, Dom, why are you asking that question? Well, the facts are that all your home equity is, and I'm going to pop ahead here a little bit, all your home equity is a bucket of money. Your first bucket of money is when you're working is your monthly income, okay? We all pay into Social Security. We expect some type of Social Security check there. By the way, occasionally I hear people say, oh, Social Security is going to end. All I ask, and everyone laughs when I make this statement, show me the politician that will get in front of the nation and cancel Social Security. I don't believe that. There will be Social Security of some sort there. Number 2 is the nest egg. That can be insurances, that can be 401ks, IRAs, other stock and bond investments, anything like that. That's what people typically think about where they're going to spend their money. But I got a question. Bucket 3. If something tragic happened today and you were to pass and you're no longer here, what would your heirs do with the home? Do you know 99.5% of the time, the heirs sell the home? That's correct, over 99.5%. So that means that all it is to the heirs is a bucket of money. Every month, if you're still making a mortgage payment, you're making a payment into home equity, and that's just a savings account. And I always like to ask that, what's the plan for your home equity? What's your plan? And hardly anyone has a great answer. Now, I'm a platinum sponsor of the Minnesota Financial Planner Association. And I ask financial advisors all the time, what's their plans for their clients' home equity? Do you know what the answer is? We don't have one. It's always treated as an off-balance sheet amount of money. And that's where I challenge people to start thinking about what are you going to do with that money? Okay? So now that we've really talked about that a lot, I want you to be thinking about that. What is my plan for my home equity? By the way, I've had clients actually take this out to give inheritance while they're alive, to actually give to charity while they're alive, and be able to see those people enjoy that money instead of waiting till you're no longer here and you don't get that opportunity. Now let's get a little of the specifics. I'm going to go back here and get the specifics I skipped earlier. You do need to be 62 or older. It needs to be an FHA qualified home. So keep in mind, an area that sometimes is not FHA qualified is condos. There are some condos that are FHA qualified. We can get condos FHA qualified, but that could be a challenge. But townhomes, single family homes, anything like that, that's going to work out well. You do need to be owner occupied, so you must live in the home more than 6 months a year. It doesn't affect Social Security or Medicare because this is debt, not income. I cannot stress this enough. You always have title to your home. This is just a loan against your home. It's nothing else. You're not giving up title. It is income qualified. I talked about that earlier. So you do need to look into this sooner versus later. The reason I became involved with this was to protect the wives. Because I still hated about every 6 to 8 weeks, I get a phone call from a wife that the husband just went to the care center. The wife has a paid off home. And she says, now I want my reverse. She no longer has the income to qualify. And I know I'm getting passionate on this issue, but it drives me absolutely crazy because now she's going to have to sell the home, and then usually that money is gone within 3 years. Where if they had taken it out before he went to the care center, she would have had a nice credit line available to her. She would access that credit line while he's in the care center. Her standard of life doesn't change. Because obviously she's going to be visiting him, everything of that nature. And when he's no longer with us, most cases with the baby boomers, he has a bigger Social Security check. His Social Security check comes back to her, and she gets to live there the rest of her life rather than sell the home. And yet, we continually put the wives in bad situations because we don't do the research. So to me, that's the number one reason why I started offering this product and became involved. There's no mortgage payments during the loan term. This loan does mature, though, at 150 years of age. That's 150. So if you're worried about living past 150, well, then let's chat. No one's done it yet. Does not require repayment until the last living borrower permanently leaves the home, or you choose to sell the property. You can certainly do a refinance, take the money out, and then use it later, the equity left, to purchase down the road. I've done that with multiple clients. It's a great way to do it. You can never owe more than the home value because it's an FHA reverse home loan. It's guaranteed by the U.S. government. Again, part of housing and urban development. So the nice thing is, even if you didn't, 2008 happens again, you end upside down, maybe you're $100,000 upside down. Guess what? The government writes your family a $100,000 check you wouldn't have had otherwise. Now you might say the government loses out on that. Yes, they do, but you don't as a family. So it's a win. If you're looking to purchase, you can purchase a home with 30 to 50% down. So it's a fantastic way to get in a new build, one level. I'd love to say, hey, let's get together. Let's talk about what's the best solution and how you get the money. Because this product can be structured so many ways, I can't even describe it all. It's sort of like the Swiss Army knife of loans. There's many ways it can be used. So here's just some of them you see on screen here. Now, again, it's an FHA loan. It guarantees repayment. When you move out of your home, you have up to 12 months to repay the loan. So your adult children are going to put the home up for sale in most cases. And then when that little home gets sold, you'll pay off the reverse mortgage and they'll split the equity. You can make payments if you wanted to. Usually we only do that for tax reasons. If you want to know more about that, just let me know. It's a non-recourse loan. So it is different there. I cannot stress this enough. In the old days, it was the loan of last resort. In today's world, it cannot be used that way because it's income-based. So just want to stress that enough. Here it shows if you owe the home long enough that you couldn't have upside down. In most cases, that will not be the case. Here we look at some interesting scenarios. Using the reverse mortgage as a coordinated strategy. Now, we know the last year and a half has been interesting in the markets, in the financial markets, right? But for people that had this out, they took money out of their home equity and they did not sell their stocks or bonds when they were low. They let those instruments be able to recover so they didn't lose any money. Because the only time you really lose money is when you sell something. That doesn't matter what the statement says. And this is a great way to be able to allow your money to recover. So we're going to look at a scenario here. Now this happened in 2020 in this particular scenario. If you look under distribution, you're going to see that in the bad years, so that would be 2008 and 2018, they took money out of the reverse mortgage, and we say $60,000 is what they were taking out of their investments because we assume about a 20% tax between federal and state. Here, so they took $48,000, which is the equivalent spendable dollars, out of the reverse mortgage. So by doing so, they ended up with the investment value of $2.4 million. They took distributions of $720,000. On top of that, they took a HECM of $96,000, and the available credit line available to them is $450,000. So in this scenario, if something happens to the husband, the wife can draw down that $450,000. So it's fantastic. And this was at a 6% disbursement. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I do not give financial advice. I'm not advising you to disperse at 6%. Talk to a financial advisor for that. I'm saying this study, that's exactly how it was taken by Sachs and Sachs. So let's look at the scenario. By didn't having a HECM on the home, the investment portfolio ended up at $1.6 million. By having a reverse mortgage HECM on the loan, the total assets ended up at $2.8 million. And this is something that amazes adult children all the time when I show that a lot of times they're going to have more inheritance by their parents actually having a reverse mortgage than not. Now, I have to always give the bad news, because I always look at the adult children and say, I just showed you how you can have more inheritance, but you're probably not going to. And they all look at me and go, well, what do you mean, Dom? And I'm like, well, the truth is your parents are probably going to spend more. But they're probably going to spend it on you, on the grandchildren. I've had a number of clients that have taken out these to be able to take all the family, the children and grandchildren, on vacation. I've had one that did Australia. I had one that did Hawaii, another European vacation. Some of them were Disney World. I understand Disney World's getting more and more expensive. But anyways, why not enjoy the money with your family while you're alive than have that saving account sitting there? So just another way to look at it. Investment value. This looks at the coordinated strategy versus the non-coordinated strategy. What can be accomplished, right? So keep in mind that by using the coordinated strategy, you are going to end up with significantly more money. So this is another S&P historical data using the information here. And again, by taking the HECM loan balance, you end up with significantly more money than you would otherwise. What do you like most about what you heard about reverses? I'm just curious so far. I've talked about optional payment. There's no payment necessary. You do still pay taxes, insurance, maintain the home, way to build family wealth and legacy, the tax advantages, and saving for the nest egg, keeping the bucket 2 in savings. And I don't know which one might be of more interest, but it would be great to hear what you're thinking about that. So hopefully you're putting that in chat so we can talk about it at the end here, because I'd love to hear more about what you see as the most interesting aspect of it. To me, the most interesting aspect is not even on here. And that is if you are a married couple that are baby boomers and the wife worked part-time or was a stay-at-home mom, you can protect her and protect that equity for her. And to me, that is the most important piece here. So I think that is fantastic, right? So let's compare the two. What we traditionally say as a reverse mortgage versus what's called a forward mortgage, which is a traditional mortgage that we're aware of, right? And let's talk about a refinance. $200,000 mortgage, 30-year at 4%. Now this is an old slide, obviously, a couple of years old. We're not quite at 4% today. We're bouncing in the 6s today. It all depends on credit and income qualifications. So I have to give all the disclaimers. I'm not making any offer of a mortgage today. You have to get specific information for that to occur. But in 30 years with a $954.83 payment, your loss of cash flow is $343,738. What else would you like to do with that money? Right? What else can that do? What can that do lifestyle-wise? Or if you invest that money, what else can that do? You do need to be age 62. The earlier you take this out, and so in other words, I'm saying closer to 62 versus 85 or 95. The oldest one I've personally given is 95 years of age. But at 62, you're going to get more access to equity of your home over the years. You should have about 50% equity, still making a mortgage payment. If you're retired, still making a mortgage payment, what would you do with that payment if that mortgage payment disappeared? 44% of people who retire are still making a mortgage payment. What would it do to take the pressure off? And how are you making that mortgage payment? Now, some people say to me, Dom, we're taking it from our Social Security and our pension. I challenge, are you taking money out of your investments every month? Because if you're taking money out of your investments every month, you know actually what you're doing is you're selling off your investments, which are probably at a higher rate of return than the interest on this loan, and you're making a mortgage payment, putting it in an illiquid area. And also, it opens it up to Medicaid liens potentially too. So there are some fun things we can do in that regards. Long-term care. You can use it to buy long-term care policies, long-term care premiums, life insurance. Again, I am not an insurance provider, okay? I'm not offering any insurance product today. I'm not recommending any insurance product. Talk to an insurance provider to do that. I'm just showing you what other clients certainly have used this for. We look at the cost of long-term care, and I'll make the argument that these numbers are actually low. My office is in Edina. And I will tell you that I've had clients that are going into memory care in Edina who are paying $220,000 to $240,000 a year for memory care. So I think that $102,000 is actually a little light. But this is a national average. So keep in mind these are national numbers, not necessarily Minnesota numbers. Life insurance. You know, one of the biggest events I ever had was back in May of 2020. Now, I never even met this client. I did over Zoom, but I never met him face-to-face because of what was going on at that time. But this client called me up and said, hey, I want to take advantage of this. I want that credit line. And I said, really? I said, well, what's your plan? He goes, I'm buying a life insurance policy. I said, well, tell me more about that. He goes, well, I'm taking out a life insurance policy that has a $500,000 premium over 10 years, so $50,000 a year for each year for 10 years. And I said, wow, okay. He goes, how much can I take out of my credit line to do that? So we ran the numbers. He is on pace to take $496,000 of the $500,000 premium out of his credit line. He'll only pay $4,000 out of pocket over 10 years. And I never asked the value of the life insurance. That's none of my business. But his statement to me, and I'm only quoting a client, again, not giving life insurance recommendations, that he was going to be able to leave his heirs more money this way and also have a greater tax situation. So to me, this is a fantastic way to do some of those opportunities, right? Medicare gap. A lot of people like to retire at 62. 50% of retirees out of the baby boomer generation are taking their Social Security at 62. Well, the question is, if you retire at 62, how do you pay for health insurance for those next 3 years until you get to Medicare at 65? Well, this is a fantastic way to do it. Now, I see a lot of clients, again, I'm not an insurance guy. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing with clients. A lot of clients are paying $20,000 or north of $20,000 for health insurance every year. So that's a serious number. Where is that money going to come from? This is a great way to pay for that and not take it out of your investments, which are growing to give you more income in the decades to come. So those who are familiar with stock purchases, it's like buying a put on home equity without spending a dime of cash from bucket two. Because even if your home value drops in half, your credit line availability continues to grow. It never goes down. Once you close on this, it is not tied to your home value. It's totally separate. So, you know, again, difficult concept to pick up. Here's an example. The home value is $400,000. The principal limit, that means how much money they can access, is $164,000. So the line of credit starts at $148,000. The first year they can get $88,400, and then the beginning of the second year, $65,600. Now I have some people that say, Dom, why can't I get the whole full $148,000? That's what used to happen before 2015. But too many people were going to casinos and just blowing the money. So the federal government put this in place in 2015 to actually be able to slow down the spending. And actually, it's worked out very well. It's a government program that's been very successful. In the beginning of year two, people don't usually spend the rest of that money. So it is a great, great opportunity. Again, it's not the loan of last resort. A lot of people still think of it that way. This is to enhance cash flow, which means enhance your lifestyle, whether that be through more investments or the life you're living. It's liquid. Get the reverse mortgage loan now, so that way if something happens down the road, you don't have to worry about qualifying then, which you may not qualify depending on the income. The loan is not payable until you no longer live in the home. although tax, insurance, and maintenance must still be paid. So keep that in mind, just gets rid of the principal and interest portion. Some important changes that changed in the past. In spring of 2015, we went into financial assessment. So it became income-based, and that's when it could no longer be the loan of last resort. In fall of 2014, which is where some of the misperception about what this is, before fall of 2014, if you took out a reverse mortgage and you had a younger spouse under the age of 62, when something happened to you, the spouse had to leave the home. That is no longer true. A spouse could be in their 60s or 70s. If they have their other spouse is even 40 years of age, they get to live there the rest of their life with no mortgage payment unless they want to make one. So it's a fantastic opportunity. Same-sex couples came into effect summer of 2015. Keep in mind, if you're cohabitating and both of you are 62 or older, you do not need to be married. At Fairway, we once had 4 siblings that bought a home together. They were all 62 or older. They were all unmarried. They decided to live together again, and it worked out perfect. So you do not need to be married. So let's talk about how you can use a reverse mortgage. Running out of money before running out of life is an obvious concern, right? Everybody's concerned about that because we don't know when our last day is, and I don't think we'd want to know when our last day is. I know I wouldn't, because I'd probably live life differently. Instead of thinking living life the way it is, going, hey, I'm hopeful for tomorrow and going to enjoy today seems to be a better way to approach it. So getting rid of the mortgage payment, number one, if you have a mortgage payment, we really got to look at eliminating that and see what else you can do with that cash. Standby portfolio protection, protecting against your stock or bond investments dropping in value and allowing this to be that emergency line that you need in case, or even pay for your expenses maybe for a year, 18 months if the market stays down. So replaces the need for the cash reserve bucket. Home loans are not usually taxable. It increases your cash flow. It's fantastic. I already talked about ability to purchase needed insurance or investment products because of the change in cash flow. It can be great for either one. And the earlier you do that, the closer to 62, the better. Able to purchase long-term care insurance. Now, again, I'm not an insurance provider. I understand though a lot of the long-term care now is riders on life insurance. But it's a great way to look at those products and say, well, can we still afford this? What does that look like? Does that actually give us more benefit down the road than keeping money in our home equity, which is illiquid and not easy to access? Purchase an investment property or second home. I am licensed in Florida, so something that I've helped people do. If people from Minnesota want to go buy a condo in Florida, you put a reverse on your home in Minnesota, which is still your primary property, and you use that money to go buy a condo for cash in Florida. Wow. Now you just picked up a property in Florida, you're able to go there for the winter months, and you still don't have a mortgage payment. Isn't that fantastic? It is absolutely amazing what we can do. Bridge Medicare gap from 62 to 65 for early retirees. Potential hedge against future declines in home equity. If you think this market is going to collapse, this is the time to take it out. So that way it doesn't matter what happens to your home value. Even if it drops in 50%, you're still going to be able to access that credit line, and the credit line still grows. Gifting to family. Help family out. Maybe you got grandchildren that are going to college, you'd like to help out. Maybe they're buying their first homes. I know I see a lot of grandparents gift their grandkids a little money when they buy that home. Maybe it's helping with a wedding. Maybe who knows what it might be. Maybe it's just taking the whole family on vacation. And then gifting to nonprofits. Wouldn't you love to see the people benefiting from the nonprofit? Wouldn't you love to see the expressions, the gratitude, what your money can actually accomplish while you're alive? Then wait until you're no longer here. It's another great method to do that. So, I'm going to tell a couple more quick stories, just because I do have the time. I'm going to give examples. First of all, I guess has a seminar changed your mind about using reverse mortgages? Not really, maybe. I'll change my life, my clients' lives. So we'll see what your response is to that. But I want to tell a story. A few years ago, we had a older man. His income was about $1,300 a month. And he had a paid-off house of $500,000. Now, this is before COVID. So back then, obviously, home prices were a little more reasonable, too. And he was struggling. But the realtor who found him was aware of us, And he suggested that that gentleman go buy a fourplex, which you can use to buy with this. And the other 3 units of the fourplex were each cash flowing about $1,700 a month, so $5,100 a month. On top of his $1,300, he now had cash flow of $6,400 a month. Now he has to pay for maintenance, he's got to pay for taxes, he's got those expenses, but this will greatly change his cash flow. You know what I mean? And now he lived a full life. Now he decided to actually be his own landlord, his actual own maintenance guy. His life dramatically changed. There's a fantastic way to use it, right? There's many ways that this can be utilized and help you and your heirs. And I just want to give thought to that. I got a couple right now. They just moved back from Florida and Minnesota. He's got stage 4 cancer. And unfortunately, they've used up most of their retirement dollars. And they're like, well, where is she going to live? She could look at renting, but we estimate that within 5 years, the money that is left, she'll use it up and it'll be gone. Since he does have stage 4, although he's definitely battling it, but he expects that this will be the end at some point, right? With that being said, she's looking and going, what am I going to do? If we can get her into a single level, which is what we're looking at doing, she's going to be able to live in that single level the rest of her life and actually be able to maintenance that property, right? And her income will be enough that she'll be able to pay property taxes. She'll be able to pay, some other expenses, heating, cooling, everything like that. And typically keep in mind that with the appreciation of the home, and since 1945 till today this year, the average appreciation has been about 4% in Minnesota. So with appreciation, do you know she will actually leave more inheritance in dollars for the next 18 years? That number goes up. Okay? Well, that puts her now almost at 90. Now, after that, the dollars she will leave behind do start to go down, but think about all the life she has been given. So this is about 5 years ago. I had a woman come into my office and she goes, Dom, I don't even know why I'm here. I do not want to take out a reverse. And I said, well, I'm honored you're here. And she goes, well, the person who recommended you, I respect them a lot. That's why I'm here. I said, great. And I said, but why don't you want this? She goes, well, the woman across the street, when she died, she had a big reverse mortgage on her home. And I said, okay. I said, how many years did you guys live across the street from each other? She goes, about 20. I said, okay. Did she have retirement savings? She goes, oh, absolutely. She had retirement savings, but she used it all. I said, are you angry that she spent all of her retirement savings? She goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you realize how big was her loan when she died? $238,000. Where would she have gotten $238,000 of life if she had not accessed her savings account called home equity? And that's what I want to leave you with today is the fact, where are you going to get that life if you don't access home equity? And what does it do to protect your downside in a backed stock bond market? Does it allow you to actually give more inheritance by potentially buying insurance or protecting the downside in long-term care? There is, like I said, at the very beginning, this is a Swiss Army knife of tools. So there's many ways this can be used, and I structure it differently depending on what your goals are. So that's something to be aware of. It can be structured many different ways for many different outcomes. So I ran through a lot of that today. I appreciate you took the time to spend. I know we're going to take some questions. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer those on an individual basis and talk a little bit about what the fun pieces are. Because I'll tell you, I have a lot of fun offering this and helping my clients. It's the number one client that continues to thank me over and over and over that I changed their financial life. So I'll see you in a moment.
Thank you so much, Dominic, and thank you so much everyone who attended today. We are so honored to have you all here. And as a reminder, Alexander and Haberman is a specialty firm that does not practice in the areas of our speakers. For those of you who have time and want to stick around for Q&A, we'd love to have you. As a reminder, our presentations are always available on our website, through our YouTube channel, which is available through our website. or you can also request a recording by emailing workshops@mnhealthagents.com. So, Dominic, thank you so much for being here today, first of all.
Absolutely.
So happy to have you back. We are, obviously. Joshua got to speak with you last time, so it's kind of a fun pleasure for me, too.
Excellent.
So, first of all, you asked about what do people like most, that poll. The number one answer that we got back was that it's a way to build family legacy and wealth and a savings bucket.
Absolutely.
And number two is the nest egg.
Yep. Well, and it really is. You know what the fun thing is, like I said, because quite often what I do is I will meet with the adult children. And actually, a lot of times how I find clients is actually with the adult children. Because if you think about it, from the ages of 30 to 50, it's really what I call the sandwich generation, right?
Yep.
A lot of them, they're trying to raise kids. The average first-time homebuyer now is 31. We are seeing that, a lot of women are waiting till their 30s to have kids. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just giving statistics, by the way.
Sure.
No judgment on my part, right? But my point is, so a lot of times in your 40s and 50s, you're raising young kids. Maybe you're trying to even help them go to college.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, my parents. Do I have to worry about my parents, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we all do get more frail. I'm going to tell a quick story to implement or to accentuate that point. So my dad was born in 1912.
Okay.
And my dad built a house on the farm I grew up on when he came back from World War II. And he swore he was never leaving the house. And we said, we certainly hope that's the case.
Yeah.
When he was 93 years of age, I was at work one day and my siblings called me and said, Dad's very ill. We aren't sure what to do. He's running a high fever. Tomorrow maybe we'll make a decision. I'm like, oh no, that's not how it's going to work. So I called up my brother. We went out there. We carried him from this house he had built when he came back from World War II. One of our arms under his knees, one of us held up his back, then one held up his head. We thought we were towards the end, right?
Yeah.
We really did. And the house didn't work for him anymore because there was stairs, all that. He ended up going to a care center for 5 years and slowly losing his memory, being in a wheelchair, right? You don't know the outcome you're going to have. And that's why you need to get this to protect the wives, right? And I cannot stress that enough, the number one reason why I offer this. But the thing is, that sandwich generation, they're worried about that. What's going to happen to my parents? Are they going to fall downstairs? Can they continue to maintenance their home? Do they have to worry about snow removal? Do they have to worry about lawn mowing? Do they have to worry about all these things? Or worse yet, am I going to have to start to write a check? So I used an example last year. Last year I had 2 adult daughters bring me their mom. And both of them live on the south part of the Twin Cities. She lives on the north.
Okay.
And one of the daughters, the grandma would not go to the daughter's granddaughter, so her daughter, birthday because grandma felt she didn't have the money.
Oh.
And the daughters came in and goes, she has a paid off house. We want access to that equity. Actually, what she ended up doing, she ended up selling the house in the north, bought a home next to them in the south, and put about $125,000 in her savings account throughout the process, and bought a more expensive home than the one she was living in. So it was a fantastic solution, and the whole family's happy now. So, there's a perfect example of sandwich kids, or when I say sandwich kids, the adult children,
Sure.
that feel trapped between their children and their parents. And so that's really talking about financial wealth, right? Now, my chart showed also financial wealth that you'll actually potentially have more legacy and more inheritance. But what I always tell and maybe you want to gift the kids money throughout your life, right? And because there are
A lot of people do.
A lot of people do. And it's a much better way to get rid of the money, right? Than have to worry about that portfolio at the end. So.
Yeah. So what got you into offering the home equity conversion mortgage?
Well, what really got me interested, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, was really about the baby boomers' wives, right? Because I looked at.
I'm going to challenge you to say spouses, by the way.
Well, if I say spouses, I didn't get in there because of the husband, so I have to use the word wife here.
But it's not always.
You're right, but 96% of the time it is.
Wow. Okay.
You gotta remember, this is not our generation. So I'm the oldest of the X generation. The X generation, though many of the women will earn the same money as the husbands, or potentially even more. Mm-hmm. That's not the baby boomer generation.
But my grandma passed away before my grandfather did.
Correct.
Obviously it was cancer, and so things like that you can't predict. But I don't know. I appreciate the statistics, but I'm going to
But-
challenge you anyways.
But that's okay. I didn't get involved because of the husbands. I got involved because of the wives.
Okay, that's fair.
And I got involved because what I was seeing so many times is the wives were ending up in poverty, and we could have avoided it. Because the fact is, if you have a reverse mortgage out, a HECM, Medicaid can only go in third lien position. If you have a traditional mortgage, a forward mortgage, or you have no mortgage, Medicaid goes in first lien position. And this is significantly different for the spouse left behind, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But I didn't. But again, I did for the wives because I seen
Sure.
too many baby boomer wives in my office trying to qualify for a traditional mortgage, and they didn't qualify. And I unfortunately have a box of tissues in my office, and I only have to use them twice usually. Usually it's those women, which I can now help if they get to me early enough, and then it's also for women who come in their late 20s, early 30s, who want to buy a home and have children, and the college education debt's killing them, right?
Sure.
So those are the two groups, unfortunately. It's nice it's the husbands in that college education group too, man. They're not excited when they look at the payments, right?
I'm sure.
But my point is, I'm passionate about this for that reason, because we don't need to put people in poverty.
Sure.
We got that whole big savings account called home equity just sitting there. So that I am passionate about it, and I was glad I'm having fun with the wordplay, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think if it's a passionate story. If that's what got you into it, then that's a great motivator.
Well, and it was because of the people in my office who come in to see me, right?
Sure.
I can't remember once that I had an older husband come in and was trying desperately to find a solution, right? But I had many, many times, dozens of times, where I had older women in my office. So.
Sure. And why do you think this solution fits in today's economic times?
Well, because we're having something called inflation, right?
What?
That's my understanding, at least, right? So unfortunately, who gets hurt the most by inflation? It's the people who have more of a limited income or have limited resources. And what we forget about in our working years, if you or I, if all of a sudden our faucet's not working at home, we'll swing by a home store and we'll pick up a faucet. We don't think anything of it. But now when you got a limited pool of money, which you do once you retire, now that might be a big issue, right? And we can protect against that, but yet we don't. And the second is because right now, unfortunately, we don't have enough homes that can be built in the lower brackets. Mm-hmm. So we don't. If you want to move into a single level home, a lot of times you're looking at $500,000 to $800,000. Well, if you have a home that's $300,000 paid off, you can buy that using a HECM for purchase with no mortgage payment the rest of your life, and you reduce your monthly expenses, and you're living probably some of the nicest quality you've ever lived in, right? So to me, it's a perfect fit for today's time with limited inventory, higher priced one-level homes, and also inflation. It's a fantastic time.
Okay. Appreciate it. Well, if anyone has any last questions, please feel free to submit them. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you to everyone who attended today's presentation, Reverse Mortgages, and thank you so much for Dominic being here today. We are so grateful to have everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.